fun to watch for the moves. They're not hard to find. Strong arm tactics so loud, only themselves in mind. Every player has dreams of making Orca fame. They'll live on in the minds of those who get in their way. Orcas all say, don't come for me. Mid-merge boots, they're so vain. As we set up the podcast webcam, the pod is here to talk Orca game. Orca King CK with delusions of fame. In this LRG world, he's the apex predator. Danny and Jules in tow, always ready to go. Now it's time for the show. They're the apex predators.
Hello and welcome to the Orca Pod, the Apex Predators of Australian Survivor LRG podcasting. We have such a big episode to get to this evening. This was such an exciting episode with so many outcomes, so many twists, so many different maneuvers being made that I'm sure we will all have a lot to say. In fact, I have so much to say that the other orcas couldn't be bothered turning up. They're like, CK's just going to rabbit on for an hour about his opinions about this episode. And honestly, we can't do it any better. So we don't even need to arrive. But I don't think anyone really wants just to hear me talk for an hour, though I could do it. Like, don't even test me. Absolutely do it. Just keep talking and talking. It would be a thing and it'd be incredible. But I think sometimes there's a dynamic that works better when there is a person expressing the color and someone doing the play-by-play. So joining me is our usual play-by-play queen, the woman who takes the notes, the Orca scribe. Let me welcome the most recently crowned Orca. I needed a producer. This is getting bad.
Oh, hi. I'm so excited to be here and talk about Sydney. I didn't scribe this episode. I wasn't expecting to be here, but I'm happy to hear and host you and steer you in the right directions.
Well, Danny hasn't been on the show because she was part of the production of this season, so she's well-versed in what happened. And I did do that, of course, with Uncharted Waters and was able to host and ask the questions. So I'm sure you are more than capable to do a similar approach, informing our views without spoiling the balance of the season. If I could do it, given how much I love the sound of my own voice, you who have some control over that ego might certainly be able to do it. Jumping in first, though, and this is quite fortuitous that you are here. For those that have been joining the podcast recently, we've been starting the episodes with the newly revamped TWIOSLH, which is not a quiz, but a recap on what happened at the equivalent episode of prior seasons of this franchise. So just give me 1 second. I will run. I didn't still mean to add the quiz music. I think I need some alternate music. But anyway, what happened, Danny, in episode 5 of Sydney Survivor in the first season?
Episode 5 of Sydney Survivor season 1 was a great one for me. It was a double tribal. We got to vote 2 people out across 2 tribes, and somehow the blue managed to savvy 2 people go out from the red tribe, and we were all safe and sound. So we saw Merlin and Jazz go.
It's very similar to this episode. In fact, there's many parallels between.
There was a little bit, yes.
These episode 5, because I think we saw 2 people go. Only we saw 1 person go here, but advantages were played. Shane played an idol.
Yes.
Is that right? Shane played one of his idols, and I believe the Matty P played a safety without power. And ultimately it resulted in Jazz and Merlin being eliminated from the game. So questionable twists, use of advantages to save yourself. Very much what we were seeing in this episode in season 2. So significant parallels between the two, which is fascinating.
Definitely. Which did you prefer? Which twist?
Oh, if we're going to get into the twist, can we start with the twist? I like this, Danny. You know I don't like starting with the start.
Well, we're here. We're talking about the twist and the parallel, so let's do it.
I really like the twist, to be honest.
Okay.
Some might say such a twist is, not Survivor. It's not traditional Survivor. It's too game breaking. It's nonsense, smooth for excitement's sake, and if Mac doesn't have an idol, he's got no chance, etc., which is probably true. I would suggest, but I think it's interesting. I think it's an LRG. I think you need to keep these interesting. I think the concept was reasonably well balanced in the fact that the other tribe had no ability to discuss who they would vote. I think that would have been overtly powerful and probably just a poor design. So I thought that element was good. I thought it made great television. I thought we got great, interesting outcomes. And ultimately, because Mac had an idol and was able to save himself, I don't really care. It's sort of like the Mr. Beast coin flip, right? Everyone's like, "Oh, that was so good," because like Devon's flipped it and got the idol and got the money and like so. But if he didn't flip it and went like he flipped it the wrong way and went out, that would have been such a womp womp. And if Mac had gone out here with that idol, I'm probably sitting here. This is a shit twist. So like,
yeah, 100%. And then questioning why he's been campaigning for himself for so long.
Well, why is he even on the show? What is this twist? You're losing good players, dumb twist. Like that's where I'll be at. So it's a little bit of a like the outcome has justified the choice, but it was an entertaining episode, and we'll get into all of that. So I think on the whole, I like it. My one feedback that I think I could provide to the Sydney creators is it would have made sense to have the shot in the dark available in this vote. If we're for some reason limiting these shots in the dark, right, which I still don't understand, why is this one not one of those options? Like with this level of twist in the game.
No, I agree. That actually is a really smart idea to have it like when there's a big twisty thing, let that be the time where the shot in the dark is available.
Especially this would be the most time you'd use it because your vote was worth the least.
Yes.
Your vote in this scenario is so many votes going in the urn and not strategy around what those votes may be without being able to arrange and put together a vote. It's a great time to use a shot in the dark. I think it should have been available here.
No, I agree. No notes on that one. Absolutely. We got some Max here, as he always is. We love Mac in our comment section.
You can read it out.
Yes, the twist added a fun layer as a viewer for sure, but if I didn't have the idol, it would have ruined my game for being a loud character. It encourages quiet gameplay. Yeah.
And Eli hates it, apparently, on his own season.
No, on a real season of Survivor. He loves it in his season, just not for real life Survivor.
I don't mind. I'm with the modern day Survivor. Like it's not real Survivor anymore. I'm not with this kind of. I like this power broker twist. That was fun. Like I'm just here to be entertained. Whatever. The game is what it is. Like just like roll with it. You know.
I'm glad it went. I think it made it more interesting, particularly because of the tribe that lost. Like I think like that. Like I don't know how I would have gone the other way around if I would have found it as interesting.
Things that I also found interesting. We saw some really interesting dynamics, and it's going to power back onto what was happening earlier in the episode. But I really liked the people from the introverts tribe, new introverts, that did not vote along the tribal lines, which I thought was really, really interesting, but also very flawed in a couple of places. The ones I identified specifically in this regard is Tyrone voted for Beck. I don't particularly see an issue for that. I think Tyrone and Beck are not aligned. They've clearly identified their divide in the sand from the original Joe vote. Tyrone's not interested in, obviously he did not have a relationship there. And for him, he would rather preserve the extroverts who he knew would be copping votes from all of the introverts on his tribe. So I thought that was a really interesting decision from Tyrone. I think it's a good time to make that sort of decision because no one will know. There's so many votes in the urn that you can't choose. Well, you won't know where they come from, which also leads to my second one of Maddie, who voted for Mac, despite being Maddie's gameplay is look. There's a tale of two cities on Maddie's gameplay this episode, right?
Tell me.
Well, firstly, and the whole season. So we start with Maddie having a great position of control in the original extroverts. She has the numbers on the first vote, and then she has the numbers when she flips to the other alliance with Shane.
Yes.
If you're in a situation where you're now trying to get Mac out, you shouldn't have flipped to the other freaking alliance with Mac. Like, I don't get it. If you're with Ian and Deo, cool. Okay, I don't want to work with Ian and Deo. Great. But now you don't want Mac? Like, is it simply Shane and Marissa she wants to work with? I think the answer is yes, because I think she actually said that in the episode. But I still think that's a strange call. Mac is a big threat. You want big threats and targets in front of you. And let's just rewind a bit to Maddie. I mean, negative Maddie first, and we're positive Maddie. Rewind a bit, Maddie. What advantage, Danny, does Maddie presently hold?
Knowledge is power.
And she thinks that the best thing she can do is get rid of the guy with the idol who thinks she's with him. Like, this is the perfect person to be stealing idols from, using the knowledge and the power. Why does she want the idol flushed or Mac gone? That is silly gameplay. She can take his idol at any point if they can get back together. It's nonsensical to me.
I don't think she wants, like, I mean, obviously she'd love an idol, but I don't, because knowledge is power has to be played at a tribal council, right, in front of everybody. Then she has a public idol. Then she sticks her neck out. She's got Mac out of the game, and she becomes very in front of the game. She's playing so well socially in the middle, and she knows that's where her power is. She doesn't want to use the knowledge is power. She just wants the idol flushed.
The only way to play the knowledge and power, you're right, you can't take a public idol. You need to take the idol and then play that idol immediately. You can't be walking out of tribal council with that idol, 100%. Yep. But she can take Mac's idol anytime she likes and then use it. Yeah, Mac didn't even know until right now. I just think this is a foolish move. With knowledge is power, I don't mind flushing an idol, except if you're the person with knowledge is power. Because you need to know where the things are so you can actually steal them. So I don't rate that. But Taylor to Maddies, over on the introverts, tremendous social game. We identified this last episode. We thought this would be happening. She's the most introverted extrovert. I know people keep saying it was Deo, and like they were there on the day, so who am I to dispute them? But from the edit, it certainly feels that Deo was reasonably extroverted, and Maddie is the most introverted extrovert, and she is absolutely fitting in with this introverted crew and building new bonds and new alliances. So, like, I guess she'll go back to say and tell them she voted for Mac. Like, why not, I guess? But also, why would they believe her? There's no way of knowing. So it's a bit of a, like, you can't really, like, you know, put the power there. But the interesting thing is because of Tyrone's vote for Beck and Maddie's vote for Mac, the numbers wouldn't show that the extroverts on the introverts tribe have voted against the old Lions. So I think they were the only two votes that didn't.
Oscar voted for Morgan.
Okay, sorry. There's Oscar voted for Morgan. So there's one more. But you know, I think those numbers could be a bit lost. So there's another one there. Well, why don't we talk about Oscar? Oscar's such a funny cat because he came into this game wanting to play such a like chaos game. I don't know, Survivor. Look at all these idiots that can't travel for this shit. I'm gonna vote them out. Like, you know, and he talks a big game in the confessional. I have to say, he's still doing it. Yes. But when it comes, or things he can do in secret, but when it comes to the actual game, I feel like he's a little bit deer in headlights and just doesn't know how to navigate. And look, it's a pre-merge, so it doesn't matter. Like if he goes into day two if he makes day two, goes into day two with a fresh attitude and maybe learn to be, it could be, that's all that matters, right? But just on the pre-merge, I just don't see him bringing the flavor that he's bringing in the confesh, which is sort of what he was promising to do. I'm not deriding him for it. I just think it's a really interesting comparison, and I don't think it's one of these I'm going to be big in confessionals and small in the game sort of character. I honestly feel like he's just unsure of what to do in the game.
No, I would agree with that assessment. I think he, because he, like, again, like we talked about, he doesn't really like know the game. So he's having fun in the confessionals because he gets to talk about himself a little bit and the fun he's having and his thoughts on everybody. But when it comes to actually putting strategy into play, figuring out who's doing what, he doesn't have that.
So there's a couple of people that voted wrong. I guess if we go to the concept, we'll talk about just a little bit the voting at a couple of points about the cake shop.
I also really like the whole edit of the cake shop, is because like you're so outside of confessionals, so rarely get to see people's like personalities. So this was fun watching the way people approach the cake, approach the table. I thought like Maddie was really fun. She's like, "Happy birthday to me." Like just as a viewer, like learning the players. Obviously, I was there. I mean, I wasn't at the cake shop because I was over on Extroverts. But like watching this and getting to see them like in their own little solo moments, seeing the cake, seeing the table, that was a lot of fun TV for me.
It was fun TV. I have some questions. Why in God's green earth did Chris get to go first when he sat out of the challenge? What decision process was made by his tribe? The guy who did literally nothing got to go into the idol cave first. Like, why would that be allowed?
I don't know. Introverts are here. New introverts are here. Tell us how did that happen? I wasn't there, so I don't know.
It's a good question, right? Like,
100%. Yeah. He's just so well loved. They're like, yeah, sure.
You know, it's an idol cave. You know, there's things there. Like, it didn't end up being an idol, but you know something's happening there. It didn't it didn't end up matter who went first. But I would not let someone that I don't trust go first. So it may be that there is this grouping, and I want to go back.
I think he's very well trusted by everybody at the like he's like everyone likes Chris. No one sees him as threatening. They think he's quite lovable and want him in their alliance.
Well, is this the case? Because look, we're just going to go with the flow. We'll get to everything eventually. Let's just circle back a bit. Yeah. At the introvert segment before the challenge, we finally. Well, Maddie says, hang on, Eli says they literally just picked sticks. They picked up who was in the order. But what did Maddie say? We tried to draw sticks and couldn't figure it out. So Tilly suggested we go in the order we were standing. Chris was one of my new alliance members, so I was okay with it. That's exactly where I was about to go. Somebody said Chris, or by fortune it was Chris. And because he's in this power alliance, they're all like, no worries. Let's let Chris go because, he's in the alliance. And I know that alliance is formed. And there were two critical conversations that happened on the introverts that led to that outcome and that alliance forming. First was the clarification. About what happened on the Joe vote and who Chris voted for.
Sorry, on whose vote? Who are we talking about? Talking about Joe or Amber?
Yes. I think Chris was confused as well because he's like, I was confused going into that vote. I didn't know if I was supposed to vote for Joe or vote for Morgan. And Tilly's like, you're supposed to vote for Amber. And Chris was like, what? Was it Morgan or Joe? She's like, Amber. I can appreciate why he was confused because he walked in there thinking Amber was the vote and then maybe got up to the voting booth and was like, wait a minute, there is no Amber. I know that's what happened. I think Tilly was just saying the wrong name. She might have been saying the wrong
name. Bless.
She might have been saying the wrong name on the first vote, for all we know. And maybe there was confusion about who they were actually voting for. So he did vote for one of the names that was correct.
Yes.
So I thought that was an interesting conversation, and I do think that it is true. Yes, I also found
that's because he's a nice introvert who doesn't want to make waves. He's just like, yeah, we know who we're talking about. That's fine.
I also found it was a really positive conversation between two people that have been playing together for a while and hadn't had a chance to affirm their position after an original vote. Obviously, there's some honesty here about voting incorrectly. It sounds like what I feel happened is that there was a group chat that Tilly and Chris were both in, where Tilly might have agreed or affirmed to the vote being Joe, but it wasn't what she actually was going to be doing. And Chris may have got confused about whether that was what Tilly was actually going to do or what Tilly was just saying to that particular group, which would assumably was the Tim, Beck, Morgan sort of group. And I think that maybe Chris thought when she said that was the legitimate vote that Tilly was doing, but it was actually just Tilly covering to the other alliance. And then they never got the opportunity.
Never got back together. Yeah.
However, he might have figured it out on the when they tied the first to revote.
It was on the day. It was just like, what is happening? It was just like, wait, how are we? It's the first vote. How are we at a tie here? Like, it's so unusual for LRGs to at least those first couple not be unanimous with maybe one or two outliers. But that was hectic, and they were all as confused as we were.
And then that vote was somewhat going to a tie as well until Ian just forced it one way. And as you guys said or have said to me, there was just no introverts around to force it through. And it was sort of the introverted nature of the group versus the Ian's approach at the extroverts. It was an interesting comparison of two votes that almost went to ties.
Yeah.
Now, the other conversation I think is critical, and it's the one Maddie just referred to in the chat, that she'd formed this new alliance, and there's a conversation occurring with Tilly, who has formed a great bond with Maddie, as well as Tyrone and Oscar.
Yes.
Now, Chris isn't in this chat. And literally, in this chat, Tyrone is concerned about Chris. And he thinks that Chris, they're doing the numbers, and he's not including Chris in his numbers. And Tilly is not correcting Tyrone to say Chris is with us, because obviously the three of them are the three that voted for Morgan. So in a voting sense, they have been aligned. And from Tyrone's perspective, Chris's vote, he can say what he wants, but his vote was on the other side of the group. So, from Tyrone's perspective, he could be saying, well, Chris is just saying that now because he's on the wrong side of the numbers in this tribe. Yeah. And obviously Tilly's had a conversation with Chris to try and rectify this issue. But on what was shown in the episode, she didn't seem to make any efforts to resolve with Tyrone that no, Chris is good, which I find interesting that Maddie talked about that Chris is in her alliance because Chris wasn't at that chat. So there must have been another conversation, or Tilly has clued Maddie in to the fact that Chris is solid with her, at least, even if Tyrone remains a little bit dubious about him. But I just thought that was an interesting conversation, and I would expect to see Tilly coming to Chris's defense more in that group.
Again, it plays into that introverted thing, not necessarily wanting to correct and maybe not wanting to do it in front of Maddie either, to give Maddie any more sense that there's more cracks than there is. They'd already given her Tim as a name, as a person they could potentially vote out right at that point in time if they had to go to tribal. And I think Maddie's happy to fit in where she can. She knows that Belle is probably putting them on edge. She has swapped over with the most extroverted extrovert that's probably left in the game, and knows that she'll be safe sitting in the middle because there's someone in front of her to vote out. So she's quite happy just to take what they're saying with whatever she needs to be safe.
Maddie was just absolutely throwing Belle under the bus here.
100%.
as hard as possible. But I also think that in this group of Tilly, Tyrone, Oscar, Chris, assumedly, Maddie has found people that are more like her than she had at the extroverts tribe. I think she feels more connected at a personal level with this group than she ever did at the extroverts. I think she probably feels more heard. She's obviously an extrovert, but when you get all the extroverts together, there's going to be a super loud extrovert or two, and others that have to, or by nature of whatever the circumstances are pushed down to be quieter. And I felt that she was certainly one of these people at the extroverts. And at this group, she probably feels like she has more room to speak, which is a funny comparison because she had all the power all the time over on the first tribe. But I don't know how, even though that was the case, I don't know how heard she felt. She may have been able to make her vote was decisive on this and then decisive on that because her and Shane were sort of in the middle. But they were both equally the ones whose voices were probably being heard the least. While their voices were very respected, they were being heard the least. Here she goes.
Yeah,
she was
exactly.
channeling. Everyone's got both parts. Everyone's got yin and yang. You can bring it out.
Yeah, I think Maddie's very ambiverted. She can play to whoever she's with as she needs to. I think she knew on the extroverts that she didn't have to be the loudest player in the room, that they'd like more listen to her more as a strong woman who has opinions but is not over the top with them. Like they came to her for counsel more and like sought her opinion. And I think on the introverts tribe it will be more of the same, but I think she will be able to take control a little easier there because again we've seen with the introverts votes they can be, I mean, the further we get into the game the more decisive people become. Those first few votes, regardless of what side you're on, you're unsure because you didn't know who's where and you haven't built trust and built those lines. But you know, Maddie's a girl who knows what she wants, and I think she'll be able to really put her foot down without making people feel as threatened as say Belle would.
I guess the one person we haven't talked about introverts before we flip back over to the extroverts for their ultimate decision is Tim. We predicted on the podcast last episode that Tim would be in a world of trouble if they went to tribal. I predicted he would actually go. Well, I don't know what would have happened because you had this wacky vote. But let's say it was a normal tribal. If let's say normal tribals, next tribal's a normal tribal and they lose, I think Tim is in a significant trouble. Sure. I think he remains in significant trouble. The only thing that might help him is seeing Morgan having gone on the other tribe. You know, that's someone that he was aligned with, someone he went to bat with to save in a tied vote. You know, people were concerned about Tim, Morgan, and Beck being a type 3. They were a type 3. There's two minds to this. One is Tim's lost someone close, so is he less powerful? Or is Beck with the extroverts over there now, and is Tim going to immediately jump over there, perhaps with Belle, if she's still here as well, back into that group? Should Tim still be here? And I think Tim has a higher probability of doing that if that's how the game unfolds. So I think Tim remains in considerable danger. I think Belle is still in the most danger, but she retains the mutiny advantage. But I actually think as the time goes on, Tim actually becomes more threatening because there's a lot of anti-Tim discussion. There might be...
Oh, that's almost most of the discussion on the introverts tribe this episode is anti-Tim.
Belle's loud, Belle can be annoying, whatever, you know. But Tim, he's crafty, he's athletic, he's with those guys. Like the things they're talking about Tim...
He's a gamer, he's all the things,
He's threatening. The things about Belle are not that she's threatening. I'm not saying that Belle isn't threatening. Belle's obviously a huge fan of the game. She was able to move those votes and move Maddie and Shane over to their side and played very effective gameplay, effectively quite ORCA gameplay as we discussed, but effective gameplay to get an outcome. But I think that on the whole, she's not seen... When you're loud and somewhat perceived by some people as annoying, I'm not saying you're annoying, Belle, but I think the introverts might think that, and you are running your mouth a lot.
She's the type of player that if I'd been swapped with her, I'd be like, oh, fuck me. Like in this
But
moment, like I just feel like this is too much for me so quickly.
Annoying people just aren't seen as threats. Like in the end of the day,
and they're an easy vote that most people can be like, we'll do this down the line. Let's figure out what we can do until then.
So I'm not sure if she mutinies, if she uses the mutiny. Look, she'd be crazy not to. Crazy not to. I assume she will if they get voted. But I do think there's a chance that Tim could go anyway, given the way the numbers have all settled on this introvert tribe. Is there anything else you want to ask me about the introverts before we flip over to the extroverts?
No, I think we've covered everybody there.
I'm going to do a quick thing on the challenge. Like it and hate it at the same time. It's a tale of two challenges.
That's what this episode name should be. Tale of TK's two opinions. Tell me.
I like the running.
Yep.
But for most of them, they didn't have to run far enough. Should have been a further path.
Sure.
I think the numbers should have been harder to locate. And the puzzle, although I don't know why that word puzzle was so easy, but that should have been harder. Obviously, it was too easy. How did the numbers correlate to the word thing as well? Like, did the numbers mean anything for the words? Were they different tiles? Were they the same tiles?
I have no idea.
You were there. I want information.
Yeah, I was up in the trees filming. I don't know specifically. Okay. I was hiding behind a bush somewhere.
So the challenge, I feel, if you're gonna put.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say the letters. I think if you flip them over, the
Did you just do it in numerical order? What was the point of the numbers? Why didn't they just go out and get letters? And you could have had a number of letters, and they could be more hidden. And you're looking for 24 letters, but you don't know which letters you're missing. I don't know. I think it could have been more interesting. It was anticlimactic. I think if there's a puzzle at the end of a challenge, which I'm a big fan of, love the puzzle at the end of the challenge. I don't want the puzzle to be anticlimactic. I want the puzzle to be interesting, to be dynamic, to be part of the challenge. This challenge, and it wasn't about who could run the fastest, right? Because in the end of the day, that didn't really matter. You had to unscramble those. Why were we so good at it? Why are we so good? Yeah, is Maddie right? Maddie's the queen of these puzzles, isn't she? TK, Eli's blaming my bro TK for giving it away by saying you don't want to go to the edge. Yeah, look, maybe Maddie's just that damn good. All right.
I don't think Maddie. And again, I can't remember this, but I feel like the extroverts were really putting it together as the runners were going. I don't know that the introverts were doing that off the bat.
So I don't think you should be allowed to do that. You shouldn't be allowed.
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, they shouldn't be able to do it until they get back. But
correct. Who's on with this shit? This is I think why Survivor. Take a note. Take a note. Future LRGs. What they do in actual Survivor is they give you some of the puzzle pieces when you run the challenge, and then there's a bag you have to open with the rest of them. So you can't pre-game the challenge while the rest of the challenge is happening. They give you 3 pieces, and then the rest of it is all in the bag.
Yeah.
There's thoughts to these things that they do, Just learn from the legends. And not me, the people that write Survivor. I felt that if it was longer, we would have had more good opportunities.
So they had the puzzle almost done before he went.
Yeah, okay. And Mac was faster than Tyrone as well, because Tyrone had just had Achilles surgery, which is true. That wasn't Tyrone trying to downplay his physical ability. It's partly why I couldn't be on Uncharted Waters, because that Achilles injury was the reason he put out. He thought he'd be healed up in time, and he wasn't. Obviously, he was a bit better by Sydney. So I loved when Morgan and Tim were at one of the furthest points, and they're faffing around, I think, to try and obviously help Morgan stay in the game. And I love that Eli is calling them out for it.
Yes.
I don't think in almost any circumstances should production be calling out things like that, except in public arenas like challenges. And if you're going to do things like that, it's right for the host to call it out. And I think that makes good activity, good gameplay. You need to be more subtle, etc. Love all of that. But there were few opportunities for it because it's such a short running path.
Yeah.
Also, oh my God, there is a lot of fucking flies. Wow. I
have, yeah. So I was live messaging Beck about the game, just my thoughts as I was watching it. And I was I think every episode I've written the flies. I have so much PTSD. Both nights I literally went to sleep and closed my eyes, and just there was just flies like everywhere. It was just like it was nonstop for the whole time we were there. The flies are insane. It doesn't get any better, so get used to them.
It looks horrible.
It was not good.
And I guess the final point is, fuck, do these introverts just not give a shit about Beck and Morgan? They have zero interest in keeping these people in the game. I'm surprised they all didn't just vote for them in the cake urn by how much of a dismay they have for these fellow ex-tribe members. There was zero interest outside of Tim of even remotely trying to throw the challenge.
I know that because they'd gone, because we saw it before. Tribes, lies, and flies. I like that, Mac. Very well done. I mean, we saw it with the vote. Obviously, they're on opposite sides of the votes. We saw when they went back to camp before the swap, Tilly was like, we're in so much trouble now. We not have the power. And then the swap has gone totally in her favor. So she's like, fuck, I'm good. I'm okay for you to be over there, because she feels that Becca Morgan will come back for vengeance.
Now, I have one comment from the extroverts pre-challenge in my notes, and that's all I need to talk about, and then we'll move to the post-challenge strat chat. Ring-a-ding-ding, Mac Daddy is the king. And not only did he say this once, but twice in this one episode. I feel like Orca Mac has arrived. He's been.
I told you, just wait, he's coming.
Ring-a-ding-ding, the Orca has arrived in this episode. All he needed was a little bit of shitty twist to fire him up, although he did give us this ring-a-ding-ding thing in the pre-challenge where he found out about the twist. It's his new catchphrase. It's sort of lame, but sort of hilarious at the same time. It's also so him. So I'm hoping to hear more ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding, Mac Daddy is king.
Ring-a-ding-ding, Mac Daddy is king. Unfortunately for Mac, as he realized...
His wife says he says the same thing.
We'll show the house thing.
No, it doesn't surprise me at all, Jackie.
Unfortunately for Mac, he thought that the reason, and there was a great moment at Tribal, I'm jumping around a bit, it's a great moment at Tribal when this twist got revealed, and Eli's like, who do you think has got the votes, and he's like, you're looking at him. Look at him. I got all the votes. Yeah. They're voting for me. And I like his perception was because he's trash talking and he's so big. But half of them is like the only player they could remember the name of.
Yeah, because of that reason. Because he has been so flashy and in their face and smack talking. That's why they know who he is.
It's because he's got a nicknamey sort of name. You know what I mean? It's easy to remember someone called Mac than it is easy to remember someone just with a normal name. You will remember that more. So,
but I think if Mac had a personality like Shane, I don't know that you do remember it as much. I think it's the name and the personality together. I don't think it's purely just the name.
Do you remember when Maddie on the names, when Maddie, I think it's Maddie voted on the cake urn, and she says, I don't know their names. I don't want to vote for Morgan because she got votes, but I don't know the other one's name.
Yeah.
She should have just written not Morgan. The other one. The woman that isn't Morgan that was from the tribe. Not Morgan. Yeah. So Mac thinks he's in some trouble. He correctly intuits that he's in some trouble. Now, I really like a lot of the strategy that was done by the extroverts here. Mm-hmm. I think Shane is a really good person to be in an alliance with because he's very controlled and measured about his decision making. Yes. Marissa's getting a bit hot-headed. She's like, "Oh, I wanted to also work with these ladies and these guys, and maybe we could do Mac." And she's like, "Mac's going to turn on us at some point. He's a big player." And Shane's like, "Yes, Mac will turn on us at some point. You're right. We need to get him before he gets us. But now is not the time." Shane is very cool, calm, and collected about this. And I think that this is a very sensible person and a very sensible move. I think it's very sensible for him to tell Beck that it won't be you, Beck. I don't think they need to worry too much about idols. I think because Shane, for some fucking reason, has one. I'll get that in a minute. They don't have to worry about idols. He's building bonds. He's building relationships. He's getting in a position where he can work back into someone that feels like Shane saved her. They all saved her. They all chose Morgan. In fact, it was Mac that was pushing to save Beck more than Morgan. Am I right about that? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He's like, she has a friendly face.
I said this on the podcast last week. I thought that Mac would vibe better with Beck than he would with Morgan. Now, there is sensibleness in voting for Morgan because she copped those 4 votes. But the other discussion was, well, if she's copying these votes, she doesn't have the relationships. Little do they know that Beck and Morgan basically have all the same relationships. They're basically the same person strategically. So just pick the one, like in terms of what their connections are. So you might as well just pick the one that you trust more. And I think Beck is more open and has a more trusting vibe. I feel like
Beck was giving them more.
Morgan's very like closed down about her information.
Morgan is very guarded. Yeah, absolutely.
And this is not the time to be guarded. This is the time to be laying out your cards. The cards they kept laying out were ones that I don't think were being particularly well played, to be honest, nor would I believe them if they were being dealt to me, was merge is just around the corner. It's going to be here. You need a big move for your resume. Edge is just puzzles. What is this nonsense? Who is buying this? How is merge just around the corner? There is literally like 12 people in the game still. The game just freaking started. Merge
what else do they have in this moment? They don't want to turn on each other, right? They want to keep themselves both in the game, and they're just trying to figure out to find whatever cracks, knowing that these 3 don't have any particular cracks.
Sure, but merge is not just around the corner. No. You don't need a big move right now. And on what God's green earth is the edge just going to be puzzles? Yes, exactly, Eli. Exactly. It's broad daylight on day one. Just coming. Like, I don't know if anyone was buying this, and yeah, sure, they got to sell something, but it was just the most unconvincing argument. Like, they're like, we don't want to send Mac to the edge. You win. It's all puzzles. Like, on what basis is it all going to be puzzles? And we'll talk about the edge challenge in a minute. But I think,
and I want to keep talking about Shane here because I've sent a few messages. Like, I even before he told Beck that it was going to be Morgan. Mac, bless him, he was just like, well, I mean, it's kind of going to be one of you 2, but we'll figure it out and come back to you about what we're going to do. Whereas Shane, even though he wasn't ever really particularly going to work with them, he made them feel so wanted. Like in all his conversations that he has. Again, I'm talking about how measured, how he's so charismatic. At no point did I see in any of those conversations where Beck and Morgan felt on the outs with him. He listened to them. He was like, yes, those are great ideas. Yes, that's something it was very much a yes and. He'd be a great improv actor. Like, yes and. Yes, Ella. It was just, I was so impressed with him here. And the way that he just relates to people. I was just like, he's playing incredibly well right now. He's sitting in a powerful position. No one is looking at him as being threatening, even though he is a major threat. He's in a majority alliance. But the other 2 people on side of him are the ones who are copping votes. He's playing beautifully. And
he's been gifted an idol for some reason. I don't know assuming it is an idol, right? But why would there just be an idol lying on the floor at the voting booth? I don't like that. I think it's too random in that the person... Now, look, production, what I don't like about this is, and I don't know how it's being run on the day, but often production can line people up, and that's the way they might sit down. And then the reverse order of that line is going to be who goes to the tribal voting urn first. So if it is an idol, you guys are doing this a lot in this season, a lot of bait and switching about whether people have idols or not. I don't like it. I don't need a twist. Give me the information. I don't need to know if it's an idol or not. Give me a Chiron that tells me it's an idol, please. I want a Chiron. Also, I want a Chiron with their jobs. Why don't we have that on this season? You know, the lower chiron with the job. Is that not worth something? Where's that?
I don't know.
Where's that, Eli? Anyway, yeah, he's building storyline. Sure. Does he have an idol? I guess it's not, because if it was an idol, then you probably tell me this.
I can't tell you anything. Like I'm here to relay opinion, but I can't give you spoilers.
Anyway, I don't like these mystery idols, and if that is an idol, I don't like it. But I'm going to guess it wasn't, because it's a bit boring. I think strategically, the women from the introverts play this incredibly well, in that they were Beck was originally going to go along with the plan to vote Mac. She doesn't. Instead, at Tribal, once they become aware of this twist, Beck and Morgan put their votes on Marissa, because Mac has obviously announced his idol. I think they reasonably expect that Mac will also be copying votes from the other introverts. And so there's like, how can we get through this and potentially get through by changing up our votes? And I think this was a really, really effective strategy on the fly for them to change their votes to Marissa. It almost paid off. The numbers were very close in the end. And I'm not opposed to Beck doing this, because you might say, no, she needs to show her loyalty to the Shane group. She needs to show her loyalty to we'll talk about Mac's comment in a moment. Don't bring it up yet. She needs to show her loyalty to this new group to show she's with them. No, she doesn't. Because, look, yes, they are absolutely going to want to work with Beck if they can all get, this is the 4, they say, this is the 4, whatever Shane called them, the something 4. Like, it's going to go to the end or whatever, bullshit, but whatever. Like, I think they will legitimately work with Beck if they're with Beck at the merge. But if they go into Tribal next time, it's Beck, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
No one in this group should hold a grudge with Beck doing what she can to save Morgan.
Especially not when this twist comes about, right? She could have, at any point, like, she could be like, that was what I was going to do. But when this twist came and I had the chance to save us both, you can't begrudge me for not attempting to do that. Because if Oscar doesn't vote for Morgan here, we re-vote.
Then they're gone anyway.
Pardon?
So what, between who, Marissa and Morgan? Well, then.
Yeah, because it was 3. It was 3, 2 on Marissa, 3 on Morgan, and then 2 on Beck.
Yeah, but a revote just means that Morgan goes anyway.
Well, if they revote but Marissa can't vote, Morgan can't vote either. Okay, sorry.
Shane and Mac vote for Morgan.
Yeah.
But I like the strategy. You didn't know what was going to happen with these numbers given this twist. So it's absolutely the right call, and I respect Beck for doing it. I don't think it will hurt our opportunity to work with this group moving forward. What does Max say here? The only mistake was I shouldn't have pulled the idol out. Could have sent Marissa out because they changed their votes off me. Look, he's probably right about that. If the plan was to play the idol, there's no point showing them he has the idol. I think he
gives them the option here to be able to switch off of him, like as they did. They wouldn't have. Their vote would have been completely cancelled out if he hadn't done that before.
He's right. It's retrospectively bad gameplay, but it's top tier Orca content, just like busting out your idol and strong arming people with it. That's right. Wanting to wear it for the fun, wanting to wear it for the screen time. We get that, but yes, it's strategically a poor move, as you self-identified. I've got one little comment before we go to the edge, and then we'll be able to bring in our first interview of the season. There's just one little comment from Mac where he said, I got 2 votes against me, and I hate those people. Or I hate those people. 2 people voted me, and I hated those people. I can't remember the exact context of that, but it was I think about him getting votes. He's like, I don't want to get votes. I had 2 votes against me, and I hate those people, or something like that. Knowing he was going to get votes. That was a good moment. To the edge. Why? I have questions that maybe I guess you'll be able to ask. Why is there duct tape over Ian's hat? Is there some sort of offensive logo going on there? Like, it's on this bit. Like, it's like a logo.
Yes, I think there was a logo that we needed to get rid of.
What was so unacceptable about this logo? Do I need to ask Ian when we get
I think
him
we
on
need
the
to
show?
ask Ian specifically.
Okay, I'll say that one. I like this challenge. I like the tiers of the challenge. I like there were puzzle elements. There was sort of like hard athletic skill elements and soft sort of technical skill elements. All of the elements. I've besmirched the original Orca, the original Bromolo medalist, Ethan, a little bit for his welcoming speeches to the edge of extinction. And I'm going to besmirch him for something else in a moment. But what I won't besmirch him for is his ability to commentate a silent triangle puzzle. Because I'm like, this is tough times. This is not a great thing to commentate. Oh my god, like wow, because no one's even talking. They're just all looking at a piece of paper and counting triangles silently. He actually managed to commentate that really well. I like the dominoes. I like the advantage you got by winning the challenge. I thought 5 dominoes was a significant amount of dominoes to make a difference. It clearly did when they got to the element. I think that was well tested. I like that advantage. I like the bit where Ethan in his commentary says Nat's doing like spacing out the dominoes, using the dominoes. It's a great strategy. And Ian's
no
like,
one else has thought of that, and Ian was like, I did. I love that. That was so good.
Was a great moment. And then we continue the tale of 2 Ians, continuing my theme of the evening. We had Ian in the game and we had Ian at the edge. Ian at the game continues to be, Ian in the game was big and loud and boisterous and looking to execute power. Ian in outside the edge is kind and caring and really like loving about people's feelings and the opportunities and being really supportive. And he seems genuinely happy that Nat and Joe have gotten back in the game. Do you know who doesn't seem genuinely happy about it? Deo. Deo looks fucking ropeable that he is not going to get
filthy. Absolutely filthy.
He has zero interest. He's like, it's nice that these 2 ladies that went out first to get back in. Like, it's so good for them. What a story. And Deo's like, no, fuck them. I want to be going to the game. Which was nice.
I think Deo thought he was a real shot at getting back in. So he was obviously very disappointed. It was all very fresh for Deo.
And then the thing I'm not giving Bromolo his props for is this org-coded send-off we're giving to people at the edge. Like, if anyone who's ever played an org, right, when you play and you get voted off, the host come down on you with such a pile of fucking love, but how great you were and like how important you were to the game, and we loved having you on there because you know what, you just dedicated like a month of your time to their fantasy online game that has no reward except for the fact that saying you won this org that no one cares about, right? But you invested a lot of your life in it, particularly when you play like a long 30-day org. So that's what happens. You get this love coded like messages when you finish org. No matter even the first boot, it's like, you were so amazing. Like this, they always say this shit. But you know what? They actually have an awareness of what you did because they watched or listened to 1,000 confessionals you gave and watched all your interactions with anyone else. Ethan has seen nothing about what these people did, yet he's giving them, you played such a great game. It was so, he doesn't know shit. I don't like this all-coded exit from the edge. I don't like it.
Yeah, no, and he essentially said the same thing about both of them. It was very odd.
I think Ethan felt like he needed to say something, but that's not what's being booted from Survivor is. It's the tribe has spoken. I know that's for when you get your torch snuffed, but he could simply say, the tribe has spoken and you've been eliminated from the edge. Like, it just needs to be short and sharp and not the love fest about how great you are. That love fest comes now when you come onto the Orca Pod and we talk about the fantastic game you played. So we're very lucky to be welcoming our first guest of the season. I'm really excited that this gentleman is our first guest because, not only is he our first guest, and now I guess by default, yeah, that's right, get the fuck out. By default, the first boot, but also the first Bromolo nominee of the season, eligible for Orca of the season. I think he may have actually done himself a bit of a disservice for Orca of this season, given how nice he was on the edge. That's really going to count against him for the negative shit he did in the game. Like these two Ians, only one Ian's a bit Orca, the other's just too nice of a guy. But I think it's going to be great to hear from him and his perspective. It was so good to have someone as big as him and as bold as him on these early episodes where people often want to play safe. It's great to have people want to come into the game, balls out, and be big and have a fun time, even if it's not a long time. So let's bring him in. Without further ado, we're bringing in the first boot and the first Bromelo nominee of the season. Ian, welcome.
Hello there. Hi, everyone.
So, Ian, tell me, you're Eli's father, as we all know, and I'm told by Danny that you had to go through the same process that everyone else did. There was no reverse nepotism going on here.
I interviewed him. I cast him. I was the one who called him and said, "You're on."
Yeah, Danny and Ethan.
What made you want to do this? Did Eli encourage you, or were you like, no, I want to be on your next season?
Well, Eli's passion for Survivor started with me. I auditioned for the 2000 send-off an audition tape. Was it 2001 or 2002?
The one in Port Pirie.
When Eli was like 3 years old. So, it was like we were living in Wimberley, so it was either 2000, 2001 or 2002. And in those days, it was a VHS tape, and I sent that off. And that's a show that I used to watch. And then over the years, I sort of lost interest, and Eli grew interest. With Sydney Survivor 1, he needed help. So I said, look, I'll be crew. I was crew. In fact, I actually met, it was 2016 series I watched with Eli. And from episode 1, I said, Christy's going to win. And the day they won, I actually met them at Melbourne Airport and got a photo with her there. And and then I told Eli I'd help him film season 1. So filmed season 1, met Danny, met all these lovely people. Christy was there, and it just went, yeah, this is pretty cool. And then I thought, I'd like to have a bit of fun. So I'll audition. So I don't even think I told Eli I was auditioning.
Really?
Yeah, because I knew that, because I knew people would think, oh, you're just in because you're Eli's dad.
And
I faked him out too. When I did like a second interview. I was like, I want to ask some more questions. I'm really unsure. La la la. And I was like, you're in. He was so gracious. He thought he was going to be turned down. He was so very gracious, in that moment.
Didn't think I'd get in, but yeah.
Yeah.
Which Ian showed up to the interview? Was it the Ian we saw in the game, or the Ian we saw at the edge?
Yeah, so I think it was the Ian that you probably saw at the edge.
Yeah, more at the edge.
Compassionate, kind, caring, sincere, genuine, down to earth. Yeah.
I mean, we'd also met Ian in season 1, obviously. So we'd seen him. We knew who he was. We knew he was an extroverted personality, who was obviously very sweet. So, yeah.
Well, tell us about this Ian that came out in the show. Is that something that you knew you had in you? Was it something you were playing up a bit?
Yes. So I'm also part of a community theatre group. So I've been doing drama since I was 10. So I've done many plays and a lot of acting. And I've worked for 10 years in a private psychiatric hospital, working with the allied health team, working with professional professors of psychology and psychiatry, doing lots of different daily case management, case studies, looking at different people's personalities, how people react when they're nervous, when they're not nervous. So I've got lots of knowledge in that space of different personalities, and that's why I'll pick something out with Mac within 20 minutes. So I'll come back to that. So so I thought, I could just have fun. I knew that I was never, ever going to be top 5, and that was not my goal. My goal was not to get to top 5. Like everyone, you don't want to be the first boot, and you want to make to merge. So all I wanted to do was to make merge. And I was even prepared to say to the people that I was bonding with, get me to the merge and you use me as a shield, throw me under the bus, like do what you want. I just wanted to make the merge. So for me, my goals wasn't like everyone else. I know people were so serious, so committed, really wanted to do it. That wasn't me. You know, I really wouldn't have even liked to stay overnight. So I just thought, I'm just going to go nuts. I'm just going to stir shit and go crazy. And you know, because, you know, in Survivor, you don't take out a big player first. Mate, that was my goal. Take out a big player straight away. So that's why I went after Mac. And it was, yeah, it was just like, just stir lots of shit and just go crazy and be entertainment. And because I knew that people would be all gentle and quiet and just trying to be nice and not putting themselves out there because then that throws their name out. I didn't care. I didn't care that my name would get thrown out there. I just thought, just go for it.
About the alliance that you formed in the first episode. I found this alliance like a real interesting mix of people. Like I think you and Chris, you and Shane, because your ages are similar, probably got similar levels of life experience. I'm not surprised that there was a bond there. But I thought with Maddie and Deo, the four of you were quite an interesting group and seemed quite tight from that first vote. Did you feel that, you know, that was an interesting group to have formed, but a tight one as well?
So yeah, with studying psychology, I can kind of see that Mac was going to kind of be a leader, and I could tell that the three, I could tell that Rissa, Isabel, and Nat, I would see as more emotional kind of women or players, and I thought that they would then, Mac would get them under his wing, so I knew that I wouldn't have a chance with them, and kind of saw Maddie as really level-headed and just thought, yeah, she would be good to connect with. Shane parked his car next to me in the park car, so we smiled, and I said, I'm not allowed to say anything, but hi, I'm Ian. So, you know, broke that protocol. So that had the first connection with Shane. And Dio, I didn't actually know that Dio really had my back. I was a little bit sus. I thought, that's why I took his dice and said I'll look after them, because I thought I've got to try and win his trust. But yeah, so
which is so interesting because of all the people, he was the most loyal to you.
Yes, I know, and I did not pick that up. I honestly thought Shane was the most loyal to me. Honestly, thought that.
So when Dave got to the edge and said, "No, I stuck with you, and now I'm gone," were you genuinely shocked by that?
Yeah, because remember I asked him. I said, I think I asked him, did you put my name in? Because I was, I honestly, I wasn't quite sure. I thought Shane, I thought Shane and I had the bond, and Maddie as well, and so that's interesting.
Talking slightly about your person on the edge, you know, I think it was a really, as we said, interesting dichotomy about the way you played there, and we saw the real Ian. I think you were a real comfort for Nat, and you know, as people know, I know Nat. I recruited her on the Uncharted Waters. I spent a lot of time driving her back and forth to the Melbourne airport. Got to know her very well, and I was very sad. No, you know, I'm very excited that she won this challenge, but I was very sad to find out that she was again voted out first, because I knew that would be very hard for her, and I knew how excited she was to have a second chance. And she was still, I think, in a pretty bad place at the edge, even with Joe there, until you arrived, and you were able to really break down the walls of the game and of negative feelings. I thought the jokes, the dad jokes, you know, you made her laugh. I thought, you know, you really got her in a happier mode. And I thought what was really special about what you did was when she so blatantly lied to you about voting for you for no reason. Like, it's nonsensical for her to say she voted for Isabel, but you really didn't arc up about that or say, you know, why are you bullshitting me? Like, there were 7 votes for you and 1 for me. A lot of people would do that. They've just been voted out. Why are you lying to me now? Whatever. You were really like just chill about that. And I think that's what she really needed at that time. So I'm making jokes about how the Orca Ian is fun and this guy's like, soft and nice. But I think you're like, just based on my experience with Nat and her experience at Uncharted Waters and seeing what she was like at the edge up until that point, I think you made a huge difference to her mental well-being. And maybe that's the life you've had with your career, but I think it's very special.
Yeah, well, that's been my job for 10 years, was to sit with patients who are having psychosis, having different levels of experiences and feelings, and it's to not judge, it's to sit in that space, hold people in that space, and I do that through humor, and I do that just by being a presence, and do that by giving them some warmth. And for me, I didn't know that Nat had played before being booted out first. If I'd had that knowledge, I would not have put her name down first.
Yeah.
I would not have done that. So
No.
That was really hard. I mean, again, knowing her from Uncharted Waters, being the catalyst for the reason she goes home. I mean, I'm not the reason she went home. I had the chance to save her in Uncharted Waters. I didn't take it.
Yep.
And then I was at that tribal council, right? Because I was at all the tribal councils filming the boots, to see. Because going into that tribal council, we thought it was you. Your name was the one that we thought going into that, and then to see it turn so quickly and to see that happen again was just like, oh, my heart broke.
And so I could see that Nat really wanted this more than me, really wanted it more than anything, that she'd come from interstate. Like I live 25 minutes away from that place. All I wanted was a beer and a shower. So as I said, I wasn't like, out of every single person, and extroverts and introverts, I probably had the least desire to want to do well or win the thing. So that's not where I was at. My thing was go in, have fun, stir shit, cause some havoc, and just enjoy it. And what people don't know is that when I was at Extinction and I was playing really hard to win, what I was going to do is, if I won a chance back in, I was going to give that to Nat and not go back in.
That would have been a super nice moment.
That was going to be Ian's big move, like Sue's big move. Because I just wanted a beer and a shower, and I just saw she just wanted so much more. She just had this passion that I didn't have for the game, and I just felt for her so much. And you can tell by that hug. I think I was teary when I was hugging her. Yeah. And it was just like, I just thought, and I know that I can separate emotions from things, so I don't take things personally. So if people vote for me, I don't give a shit. It's a game. It's always been a game, and that's one thing I didn't like in Outback with George. The jury were so particular about getting upset and took things really personal. It's like a game.
Yeah,
George deserved to win. Who cares if he voted for you? He voted for you because he's smart and he knew he wanted to get to the end. So it's a game, and so and I was so against Mac. Wanted Mac out straight away. That was my strategy. Take a big player out. As soon as I was out of the game, went home, had a shower, had a beer, came back, and I started filming. I was actually then rooting for Shane and Mac.
Yeah.
And I was nodding at Mac and giving him like fist pumps, going. I just wanted Mac. I wanted Mac or Shane to win, to win. That was my thing for those guys. I just thought they were great players.
I think that's a great little story about how you would have given it to Nat. Yeah. I think also you were happy for her. I was very happy for her to see her win it herself as well. You can tell how much that meant to her to save herself. I'm sure she would have appreciated your gesture as well, but I think as anyone would say, you'd rather do it yourself. I think we'd all agree with that. Yes. But I believe you wholeheartedly. I think that's what you showed us on the edge. I think it was great to see this character that you brought, and then the real you. You brought a lot of spice to the season earlier on, which you need sometimes because, as you say, people are scared to do things that are stand out because they want to make merge, they don't want to be the first boot, etc., etc. You're prepared to take those risks. You played hard, you played strong, and you brought a high level of entertainment to the season right from the get-go, and that's what you want from people. And you've got obviously a fantastic attitude about the whole thing, the whole experience, and obviously it's great to see you out here supporting your son in these endeavors that he's entered into. You'd say any parent will do that, but not all parents and their kids have strong relationships like that. So it's great to see you being a part of that. Obviously, you're just an all-round great guy. We've seen it on the show. Thank you for coming on and chatting with us, Ian.
Right.
It was great having you on the season.
That's great, and thanks for your podcast. And I know it's going to get spicy the rest of season 2, and it was an honour being the first boot. So
congratulations on also being the first Brommy nominee of the season. That's what really matters. So well done.
I think I'm too nice for that though.
Yeah, but you are, and that's why you probably won't get Orca of the season. But based on that episode, you deserve that Brommy nom. So well done.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ian.
See you guys. Bye.
Okay, so thank you, Ian. That was a great interview, and it was great to get, again, the different perspectives on his game, the tale of two Ians, as we said. And now we have the final element of our show. Firstly, the most important part of the show, we need to determine the Brommy of the episode. To be, as we just had Ian there, the first Brommy nom, if you want to be the Orca of the season, which everyone wants to be, because you know what? I reckon if I rolled up like all these LRGs and quizzed people, they couldn't tell you who half the winners are. But if they watch our podcast, they can tell you who all the Orcas are because they're in the fucking opening that you have to watch every episode, right? So this
and there's the two most recent ones right here.
And they appear on the podcast from time to time. This is the place you want to be if you remember, not winning. So this is what matters. Plus, the game already happened. You've either won or lost. This thing is up for grabs. So the nominees so far have been Ian, then Tilly, which I got wrong one week. I think I said it was Morgan, but it's Tilly. Then it was Belle. And last week we gave it to... Who did I give it to? Nat. I gave it to Nat.
Yeah.
So, couple of nominees that I see. Ring-a-ding-ding, Mac Daddy is King, is obviously a strong contender for this episode. You can see him dropping his little, cool facade a little bit and arcing up a bit more. And the real Mac, the Orca Mac is coming out under the pressure of the game. I think Mac's the guy who's pretty controlled, but I think the controlled Mac is not the Orca. And the more his back is up against the wall, I think we're going to see the Orca Mac come out. So,
well, I mean, we know that Mac is obviously a huge Survivor fan. He had his own podcast. He knows the game inside out. So what we've seen so far is that knowledgeable, measured Mac who's trying not to make waves too early. He knows he's giving in confessional. He's making great content, but he's also very measured in his decision making because he knows the game the way he does.
You haven't won it yet, Mac. You're just being considered a nominee for this week's episode. My other nominees are Ian for I've been doing the dominoes like that for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Actually, look, there's no other nominees. It's Mac.
It's Mac. Like, he's coming. I told you. You're unsure last week. We were talking about it backstage. You were like, where is this promised Orca king that he's self-proclaimed? I said, he's coming. Just wait. And he's started to emerge. He's coming strong. Just wait.
I thought we were getting a bit of a Jordan situation, like from Canberra, where the prince that was promised.
No, the prince is arriving with trumpets.
All right, well done to Mac. You have now earned your first Brommy nom, making you eligible to be Orca of the season, as determined by the Congress of the Orcas at the end of the season. One final part, I guess you were going to ask me because you know what happened.
Yeah.
What
is going to happen? Let's go to the extroverts first. What's happening over on extroverts?
Obviously, Beck would just get booted. I don't think there's any question about this. The one question is, on the next time in Sydney Survivor, there's some sort of discussion from Belle talking about needing to smuggle her mutiny over to Mac, feeling that he's under some sort of threat. I guess he's not under threat this episode, but the numbers are dwindling so much, and Isabel can count and knows that Merge is not right around the corner, and therefore, if they keep going this way, like I think from Mac's perspective, he's fucked in a 3 with Marissa and Shane. I don't know if he knows that, but he's going in that 3. I don't know if he's as attuned to that, because he might think he's got Marissa and it would be Shane, though Shane says he's got an idol. So whether he does or not, you take that for verbatim. Shane doesn't seem like a guy who'd make up fake idols. So I think what Shane legitimately picked up, he might think is an idol. I don't know. So from a Max perspective, Shane's fake idol or real idol, whichever it is, I think it's fake based on today, but real idols, the fact that he's told Mac about the idol means Mac will be more concerned about being in a 3 with those 3. I think before that, I think he thinks Marissa and he would vote out Shane, but I actually think Shane and Marissa would vote out Mac, though I think Marissa would have a tough time with it. I think that's Marissa would sit. Mac would be in this vote concerned about that future vote potentially, and maybe think about making a move on Shane or Marissa. Probably Shane to flush the idol and make a move with Beck. And I think that would be Mac's thinking, except for if Belle does hand him this advantage, like she talks about doing, he will know he doesn't need to do that, and he can mutiny on the next one. I don't see a benefit of Mac mutinying on this one. I think that's very dangerous to flip over to the introverts who all just voted for you in this urn. Like, they want you out. They just voted for you. Flipping there right now is a poor decision. Plus, you have to do it at the challenge. And if Isabel's only able to flip him the mutiny at the challenge, he won't have time to digest the information to activate it. So I see Beck going out and Mac mutinying on the next vote, resulting in a tribe. 2 episodes in advance now, but we could get a tribe of 2. That's where I see it going. And he only mutinies because of Shane's idol, because otherwise I think he would think that it's him and Marissa as the final 2. That's a lot of predictions there. If I'm right about like that, I look fucking like a genius. So much strategy.
You have to wait and see. All right, and on the introverts, what's happening?
If I'm right about this, I promise you, I have no idea. Danny knows. I have no idea what happened.
I will attest to this. He is not spoiled. Jules and I have not said a word. There is no spoilers as far as I'm aware from us. So
now, flipping on the other side, it's the same as before. Belle is in some trouble. She might mutiny. But I also think that there's a good chance it falls to Tim. I think there's less of a chance of it falling to Tim with Morgan having gone. I think Tim is less threatening with Morgan gone. I think he's even more less threatening if Beck then goes. And I think people will start thinking about trying to reel Tim back in, and Belle will go back to being the target, who Maddie has made very clear to the group is very tight with Mac and Marissa, and I guess she's throwing Shane into that as well, even though she's very tight with Shane. So I think that it's a very strong chance that it reverts back to an Isabel situation where she would also mutiny. She's not mutinying to a great spot, to be honest. You're mutinying to have to deal with the tribal the next time, but better to be in the game than out of the game at the edge. So those are my 2 predictions. For this episode and the episode after, I've sort of done double predictions for how it's going to fall out for 4 weeks.
All right, interesting. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
Well, thank you so much, Danny, for joining me. Otherwise, it would have been me talking into the void for 1 hour and 20 minutes. But honestly, I could have done that just as well. But it is good to be guided. I don't know what happened. Mark just didn't reply today. Just ghosted me.
That's okay. I'm happy to be here. I love to be on the podcast. I mean, it's my awkwardness. I love to also hear myself talk. It's fun to talk about this season that I was so heavily involved in putting together, in casting, because normally I'm behind the scenes sending you messages with my thoughts. So it's fun to be here talking to you live with my thoughts, but also, doing my very best not to spoil things that are coming.
This was a great episode, and it was great to chat with you about it. It was great to chat to Ian and get his perspective. Next week, I believe we'll be joined by Deo. It'll be great to talk to him as well about his experiences in the game. So thank you, everyone who is here live. We love you the most. We know people listen to it after the fact. You are loved, but just so as much. Come here live and chat with us. We want to hear your comments. The next episode will be airing in 2 days' time on Wednesday evening. Equally, if you're watching Canberra at the same time, that's back on Friday. We'll be doing our Canberra podcast on Wednesday, generally after the Sydney episode ends. So if you're looking for double doses of Survivor, it never been a better time to get into all these Survivor podcasts because 50 is ending and you need to fill that void in your life. Watch Canberra and watch Sydney and watch our podcast. Until our next show, we will see you then. And until then, we will dance.